Hello and welcome. My name is Tim McCracken. Today's Crypto Insight. How big is Bitcoin? Gary from Borderless Wealth, how big do you think Bitcoin is?
It's going to surpass all the major corporations here in the next couple of years, I believe. Yeah. My opinion is it's going to even get bigger than Apple probably by the end of the year. But anyway, that's my thoughts.
So how it all started? Like I remember it because it actually happened just after the global financial crisis. No coincidence, is also on the same 4-year cycle that large companies and corporations and countries have to roll over their 4-year debt. Also, too, it is a cure or antidote for what they call the cancer in the centralized business system, which is the printing and counterfeiting of fiat currency, eroding our wealth. And it was looked upon as a joke. Magic internet money. You could buy it for $2, $3, $5. I remember when it peaked at $100, and everyone went, "What? $100 for magic money?" Do you remember those days, Gary?
Well, I remember the famous story when Bitcoin was able to buy you a big size pizza in New York City, and that was a major move as far as people were concerned. I look back on it, be really candid about things. My father used to call me up because he used to like to collect gold medals, things like that, and he called me up back around 2009, and he just said, "Hey, Gary, can you know anything about this Bitcoin thing?" And I said, "No, Dad, I don't know anything about it." And he goes, "Well, can you look into it for me?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll take a look at it." And then about 3 months later, he called me up again, and he said, "What'd you find out?" I said, "I've been busy. I really haven't taken a look at it." And I'll tell you what, a few years later, I look back at that and I go, "Boy, did I miss out on that."
Yeah, and it's the old shoulda, woulda, coulda. Very interesting thing you pointed out. There's actually a special tribute day. Like Americans have got the Independence Day, 4th of July. We have Bitcoin Pizza Day, right? It was actually,
that's correct.
Someone did the first commercial transaction. They convinced someone to accept 22,000 Bitcoin to buy a $30 pizza, right? The first commercial transaction. Little did that guy in the pizza shop know what he had exchanged for. Now, my WTF moment crypto came. I was like Michael Saylor. I was a huge skeptic, came from a highly centralized real estate finance background. I remember 2014, I was speaking at the Sydney Property Expo show, presenting a project. I came on behind a gentleman who was trying to convince 6,500 people in a room that Bitcoin at $600 was a smart investment. Boy, did he get booed. I remember coming on and said, well, and this is exactly what I said. I said, internet funny money. You can't see it. It doesn't give you rent, who the would want to invest with that? And they all cheered, right? The price was $600. 2016, it was 6,400, which meant that those properties that I was showcasing for 400,000 would be worth 4 million, right? 4 million, 10x in 2 years. That's what got my attention. That's what got me on my journey. I had to go and discover in this road of self-discovery, going from crypto scripting to being a crypto master, exactly what it's all about. And it was a painful journey for 2 years, self-taught, formed the academy, to where we are today. We are launching a capital raise with our own Bitcoin Treasury Reserve, taking out 78 agencies to the world with our crypto gym and what we do. So I've been through that transformational progress. I am living proof like so many others. And as time goes on, I think more and more people are going to have that moment. And there's always going to be the shoulda, woulda, coulda. You don't want to be that guy. So, Gary, tell me what you see. How big is Bitcoin?
Well, right now, I mean, just as far as it goes, it's almost as big as Amazon. So, like I said, by the end of the year, it's probably going to surpass Apple as far as the market share goes. I mean, it's valuation, should I say?
Yeah.
It's interesting. Going back to the pizza story real quick. If you look back on that other graph, right, you were able to buy a pizza with 20-something thousand Bitcoin at that time, And then nowadays, if you look at it, you can take about 2 Bitcoin and you can buy a pizzeria.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Funny how things have changed.
So,
And because everyone's so caught up in their daily living, this social media is the biggest distraction, like what it does to people. People just haven't got a clue as to what's going on, and they're going to wake up one day and go, what? $1 million Bitcoin. Okay, so this data was at May 2025, right? Currently, the Bitcoin is at 2.4 trillion. You're right, it's creeping up. I'm very comfortable with the ND. It's going to be bigger than Apple, right? How long, you're an American, how long did it take to Apple to get here? When was that? Wozniak and Jobs, was that?
that would have been about around the mid-70s.
Yeah.
Mid-1970s.
So 50 years ago. And Bitcoin's done this in 16. And guess what? It's got no staff. It's got no rent. It's got no market. It's got no, it just is. What people don't realize, and I explained to my parents in the 80s, God bless them, that what people don't realize, this is a network system. You know, it's not a coin. The coin is a product of the growing network effect. No one can own it. No one can control it. And this is why these centralized bankers can't despise it, because they're all crooks. They've all been cooking the books, right? Blockchain is immutable. It cannot be changed and altered. So the rubber's going to hit the road with Trump. We're seeing all the changes happening in America. America's going to be the place to be. That's why we're heading that direction. And as we move forward, we're going to see a parabolic movement, just not in Bitcoin price, but at the rise of the mass adoption curve of ordinary everyday people incorporating it into their savings plan, their investment plan. Banks will be, I know some banks are now doing custodial agreements. You'll be able to use it. And like I see in Australia, you can now put up Bitcoin to create your equity to buy a house. Gary, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's kind of like you look at Wall Street nowadays. Okay, Wall Street, I can remember over the years, Wall Street would say, okay, let's take a look at your portfolio. We'll put you in the Nifty 50, the S&Ps, things like that. And then they say, okay, how about some metals? Maybe gold, silver, platinum, something like that. And then they say, maybe you want to put two, maybe 5% of your portfolio into cryptocurrency, maybe Bitcoin, like that. And that's how it has been for a long time. It's going to change very quickly now. I'll guarantee you, Wall Street's going to start jumping into this thing and saying, listen, you need to dump 30% of your portfolio into cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin and so forth. That's the way I really see it for the years going forward.
One of the things, and I teach now education with the hedge funds guys, is perception is reality. People go, oh, I've got a Wall Street broker. They're salesmen, right? They're salesmen. They're there to sell you shit, right? They're not there to advise. They're going to sell you whatever. It's like in that Wolf of Wall Street, that famous scene with McConaughey and DiCaprio with the Fugazi? Fugazi, right?
Fugazi, yeah.
And he says they're all addicts. It's always just a new Fugazi and the whoop, and that's what it is. People are being sold. And this is why these American companies that are listed in the share market are now creating Bitcoin reserves, right? Because what that means is that people can, by being independent and not owning Bitcoin wallets and the hassles and the storage with that, they can get exposure to Bitcoin growth through traditional shares. Now, that is going to be the new shiny object being sold on Wall Street by these brokers, is companies that have got a Bitcoin strategic treasury reserve. And it's by no coincidence that we've designed, with our capital launch, a strategic reserve of a minimum of shareholders' funds of 33%. I'd love to take it to 50. And as the value grows, the balance sheet just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Thoughts about that, Gary?
Well, I mean, you just said it right there. It's just, I mean, if we take it 30 to 80%, it's going to grow up to 50%. And with I mean, what are we looking at right now with our treasury? Around 78. You said 78.
Yes, we're rolling out 78 agencies, starting in America over
that's correct.
stage plan America, Southeast Asia, Europe, and into UK, basing the company in Hong Kong, gateway to the north, south, the east, and the west. But most importantly, well recognized as one of the world's most legitimate tax havens, because all income and royalty income earned from overseas is basically tax-free. That's why we designed it for our investors to have these royalty pools for transactional income and from program sales. So it's a great business model. We've been developing this though now over the last 2 years. We're now going into operational. Great to have you aboard on that with too, Gary. And yes, we will be one of the first few private companies going out and creating a Bitcoin strategic reserve. And there has been some recent articles reporting, we've got copies out in the IM, about that a company that was a private company in America has now used that as a basis for an IPO listing on the share market, which we're also looking to do maybe in 3 or 4 years' time. People just don't realize the value of having Bitcoin as a business strategic asset and a reserve on your balance sheet, because you can become your own bank. Peer-to-peer transactions, you can use as security. You don't need to use banks finance, no mortgage applications, no sets of accounts, no credit checks, no IDs. No wonder the banks hate this. They're losing control. I actually think they've lost control. What do you think? What do you think, Gary?
Well, I mean, when you look at like a big investment company, like a hedge fund company, like Grayscale in the United States, all right,
Yeah.
and they probably they're creating their own treasury reserve as well, as you know that.
Yeah.
And they were kind of ahead of the game for a long time, and I actually see us surpassing them maybe in the next few years. You know, that's the beautiful thing about the structure of what we have right now. But yeah, banks do hate. They hate the blockchain. They hate Bitcoin. They really do. But yet, however, you'll find the bankers themselves, you know, privately and making investments in Bitcoin themselves. You know, but
Jamin Dimon, the biggest liar, and I'm saying that, and banker wanker in America. He's an absolute crook. Like, they've manipulated the price of gold for 10 years, been fined $1 billion by the SEC for continual price manipulation, bouncing from 1,800 to 2,000, denying, you know, Bitcoin, blah, 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 blah. In the meantime, they've just been loading up to create products to sell to their clients. They've been loading for about the last 4 or 5 years, since it's been around, like, you know, 20,000. So they got 5, 6x. When it hits about 300, 500,000, maybe a minute ago, well, you know, it actually now is real. They've got all that, and they'll be reselling that to their clients. You know, it's just criminal, absolute criminal.
Well, anyway, we know what the outcome is going to be here in the next few years. I mean, we're not actually we'll speak to the public here. We're not like a pair of Nostradamus, but the thing is, you just look at the curves. You just look at the progress over the last 16 years.
Yeah.
It's like you said, Tim, earlier on. What's going to happen in the what?
I'm going to summarize this session up. We do have to wrap it up. We run over time. A very, very famous man. He's been published in a lot of books around the world, said something, and it goes like this: let those who have eyes see, and let those who have ears hear. Now, he's one of the biggest selling books in the world. It's called the Bible. His name is Jesus. There is going to be a huge movement, and it's going to be like an evangelical awakening when people actually realize the power of what's coming through. So wrapping up today, my name is Tim McCracken. Thank you for joining us on today's Crypto Insights. Gary, great to have you there again. Just before we go, we are a new channel, so it would be great if you could subscribe, text us through to us. Myself or one of the team will be in touch once you've subscribed on how to create a passive income at no cost to you using cryptocurrency. So thanks for your time. Gary, thanks for joining us again. And my name is Tim McCracken. I look forward to seeing you on the next Crypto Insight.